The Vision High School Sports Beat is brought to you by the 12 locally owned dealerships of the Vision Automotive Group, offering Buick, GMC, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Hyundai, Kia, and Nissan. Check out all the selection at any location online at visionauto.com. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. Spring has arrived in Rochester, well, the sports season at least, as Mother Nature has had other plans. So we'll take this opportunity to take a look at some classic Vision High School Sports Beat stories from the vault. First up, one of the best baseball matchups featuring some of Section 5's best players. From May of 2013, it's the Victor Blue Devils versus the Fairport Red Raiders.
A special moment in time for Section 5 baseball. Its all-time hits leader, Tommy Wagner of Victor, who has a shot at 200, greeting Connor Simonetti of Fairport, the section's all-time home run champ. Simonetti has 25 through his 3-year career so far.
You know, I was very satisfied with myself when I was able to break it, and hopefully they keep coming. We're going into sectionals, so hopefully I have a chance to put a few more on the board, so we'll see.
You know, the matchup of these two kids is like Aaron and Rose. It's irresistible to come down here and see. I mean, what's it like to be, have the front row seat that you have all this time?
Well, it's fun watching. I mean, these two guys have been going after each other for years, playing against each other for years, and a lot of good games between Victor and Fairport, and hopefully there's going to be another good one there today.
The game itself was a late-season comparison of the favorites in the top 2 sectional classes, playing their final regular season games. It was not a banner day for the pitching, as each team's offense took turns bashing the other. In the Victor first, Jake Redding was hit by the first pitch of the game. Dale Wickham followed with a slice double to left field. The run scored on a Wagner sacrifice fly, and it was 1-0 Devils. Raiders starter Brett Bouchard avoided further trouble by inducing Pete Carrier to hit into a 1-6-3 double play. Fairport got that one back off Tommy's younger brother and starting pitcher Mike Wagner. The third hit of the inning, Phil Huang's single to center, scored Simonetti, and the game was tied. In the second, Victor parlayed 3 walks, a wild pitch, an error, and 2 hits into 3 runs. The single to left, and there's going to be a play at the plate. John Simmons just beats the short hop throw. It was 4-1 Victor. Fairport responded with 3 more of their own. Simonetti hit a sinking line drive to right field that went for a hit and drove in 2 runs, and we had a tie game.
4-4. We knew that wasn't going to be the final score in the third inning. We knew we were going to go back and forth, and we were going to give up hits and score runs. So I think from there, it was kind of just we could relax a little bit, but we still knew that we had to put more runs on the board, and we definitely weren't satisfied at that point by any means with just a tie score.
In the third, more fireworks and a little bit of controversy. Victor's Brett Prong hit a long ball down the left field line that the home plate umpire first ruled as foul. After conferring with his base partner, who was positioned on the third base side, that call was reversed, and Prong had a 2-run homer.
I was looking at it, trying to see if it was going to stay fair, and I was like, when I was running second, they called it foul. I was in disbelief, because I thought that was going straight, and it wasn't hooking at all. So.
You didn't stop on the base paths, though.
I mean, I kept going, just walking slowly, because my coach told me to keep going. So if they still called it fair, I still had to go. So.
And then you got it. Felt good, right?
Oh yeah, always.
That was the first of 5 home runs in this game. In the Victor fourth, Mike Wagner and Pete Carrier went back-to-back, each hitting home runs off different Fairport pitchers. Each had their third of the year, creating a 3-way tie with Prong for the team lead.
We kind of have we call it the home run king, or the HRK title. So we're all in the race for the HRK title, and me, Prong, and Wagner got to hit our third each
Now
time.
batting the right fielder, number 1, Josh Bush.
By the Raiders' 6th, Fairport found itself behind by a 10-5 score, but unbowed, rallied against young Christian Portland, the younger brother of Matt, last year's Baseball Player of the Year in Section 5. David Vaccaro's 2-run homer made it a 10-9 game.
Coming into this, I kind of knew we both have really good offenses and we both hit the ball really well. So I think I had a feeling that it was going to be a game like today.
Fairport loaded the bases with 2 outs. Portland wiggled off the hook by inducing an inning-ending groundout. It was as close as the Raiders got. Victor put it away in the 7th. Carrier, who had homered earlier, laid down the squeeze bunt, scoring 1 run, and Era netted another. The Devils had a 4-run inning, and in the 7th, even managed the defensive play of the game. Shortstop Wickham to get Ryan Landers 14-9 as a football score final, leaving both teams some things to think about if the sectionals approached.
To go through the Division I East and win 10 games and not lose any, that says something about this team and their consistency and their work ethic and, just a great bunch of kids.
I told these guys, make this an inspiration going into sectionals. And I said, I don't think we walk away from that game thinking we can't beat this team. Right? If anything, we walk away knowing we can. We just got to eliminate a few mistakes. The pitching can do a better job, and hopefully, we can meet them again before this year's out.
Victor would go on to win the Class AA championship that year. Fairport would win the Class AAA title. They met again in the state regionals where Victor won with a 1-0 pitching duel. Well, coming up, an update on some of the players from that 2013 game with Paul Gotham and the Dunkin' Donuts High School Notebook. All that and more when the Vision High School Sports Beat returns.
Is that your sandwich? No. That was your sandwich.
Go-getters, get 2 with Dunkin' Go-Tos. 2 sandwiches for $2, $3, or $5. America runs on Dunkin'.
And welcome back to the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. It's time now for the High School Notebook, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. And joining me now is Paul Gotham. Paul, what is hot on the site right now?
Baseball. It's not hot outside, but we got baseball on the site from high school all the way up to the Red Wings. We got your junior college coverage with MCC, GCC, and FLC, as well as our D3 schools, RIT, Fisher, and full recaps from all our high school games. A lot of coverage there on the site.
You can never get enough baseball. Talking about baseball, we just watched a classic game from a few years back between Victor and Fairport. Talk about what has gone on with some of the guys, some of the standouts from that game.
Well, it's interesting because last week on our segment we talked about how good Section 5 has done, and we kind of evaluate that with what our guys do after they get out of Section 5. Yeah, Connor Simonetti out of that game was a draft pick, has played minor league baseball. Dale Wickham and Tommy Wagner both went on to careers at Cornell. Dale Wickham was the leading hitter for Cornell last year. Tommy Wagner plays 4 years. You have Brett Bouchard, goes on and is at RIT currently now, and he set a Tigers staff record last year for most appearances. It's great to see our guys going and succeeding at the next level.
It's really impressive too when you think about, the way the weather's been around here recently. Playing baseball in this part of the country is not the easiest thing in the world to do, and to go and succeed at the next level for a high school kid is phenomenal.
It's really interesting, and a side note, like Ernie Clement, who went from Brighton obviously on to Virginia as a draft pick, and I remember talking with the Virginia coach, and he had a bunch of guys that were north of the Mason-Dixon line, so to speak, and I asked him about this, and he said they're tougher. The kids are just tougher, and they come and they're a little bit hungrier. And the other thing is they haven't played a lot, so they haven't put a lot of miles, so to speak, on their engines. And so there's a lot to build on them from there.
It's got to be good for a pitcher, too, because that arm's not getting the wear and tear that they more normally get.
Absolutely. And we see with the pitch counts how that matters. And our guys do have stronger arms when it comes to the college level.
Well, Paul, we talked about those two teams and some of the great players that came out of that game. What about some of the other Section 5 standouts that are really taking it off at the next level?
Well, and it's great because we have about 10 guys right now who are playing at the Division I level. You have 3 guys, Shane Marshall, Reed Van Scooter, and Tanner Cooper are starting their careers as freshmen at the collegiate level. Shane Marshall has started over 20 games for a Binghamton program that has consistently been producing draft picks, MLB draft picks, which is great to see. But we also have guys like Johnny Ricotta and Mike Magnanti who have gone from Greece Athena to the junior college level and now are at the Division I level. Mike Magnanti is the leading hitter for St. Bonaventure. We have 5 Section 5 guys on that Bonaventure roster, including Brandon Henshaw, who is at Brockport, Donnie Moffitt from McQuaid, as well as Dave Vaccaro at Fairport. So a lot of guys continuing on that line to Division I. And that's not to mention guys like Mike Sabatine, who's at Fairport this year, who's committed to go and play at Maine. Tyler Griggs, who's a junior at McQuaid, is committed to go play UConn. So we definitely have a line of guys that are going that level.
That's just outstanding. Now, last week we got a question on our website, from the website about Aquinas lacrosse specifically playing a different class than their other sports do. What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts about kind of the way the classification works in Section 5?
Well, first off, Aquinas lacrosse is not as good as Aquinas basketball and soccer, and they've had success in the past. So 2010 they won the title, but that was a Class C title. It's easy to forget that they've been playing lacrosse and have been successful in lacrosse, but it was Class C. So when they drop down to Class D, it's based on class size, the school size. And it's interesting to note that, yeah, Aquinas is pretty good at their other sports, and that's why they're able to play up that high. And you get an idea how high up they're playing based on their school size when you see that they have a sport at the Class D level.
All right, Paul, thanks once again. This has been the High School Sports Notebook, brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. More of the Vision High School Sports Beat right after this. Coming up next, the Wegmans Making the Grade nominee with Kim, and later, looking back at an Olympian's time at Sutherland when the Vision High School Sports Beat continues.
In now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Kim Burnson. It's time now for Making the Grade, brought to you by Wegmans. Wegmans is a proud supporter of Making the Grade, which highlights the accomplishments of Section 5 student athletes on and off the playing field.
Making the grade this week is Lizzie Reynolds, a junior at Brockport High School. Lizzie is a third-year varsity player for the Blue Devils basketball team. As a leader and captain, she was part of the all-tournament team at the Katie Sweeting tournament this year, and last season won the Katie Sweeting Award as a sophomore. Her hard work continues off the court as she is already earning college credit through AP classes. Lizzie's 98 average not only got her into the National Honor Society, but last year ranked her 7th in her class. Her leadership extends to student council, where she serves as vice president of her class and volunteers at various events through Brockport's Key Club. She also happens to be the editor of her school's yearbook. You don't find many high school athletes as well-traveled as Lizzie. She made the trip to Spain last year after hosting a Spanish exchange student the last 4 summers.
If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them into info@classywolf.com. And now here's Dave with the Section 5 Spotlight.
Well, thanks, Kim. Here are some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in this week's Section 5 Spotlight. Vanessa Watson of Spencerport Track and Field. She closed out the indoor season with a time of 1 minute 30.09 seconds in the 600 meters at the New York State Indoor Championships, earning first place and recognition from MileSplit USA as the National Performer of the Week. The Bishop Kearney Selects Academy Girls Under 16 hockey team advanced to the National Championships in Boston last weekend. Congrats to BK, and they made it to the top in just the program's second season. Corey Yunker of Churchville Chili Boys Lacrosse set the all-time points record for the Saints, passing his brother Corey, as they keep the record in the family. Well, in case you missed it, 5-time New York State champion from Hilton, Yanni Diakomahalis, won the NCAA championship in his first year for Cornell, wrestling at 141 pounds, and amazingly won the final 3 matches while wrestling with a torn ACL. When we come back on the Vision High School Sports Beat, from Pittsburgh to Pyeongchang, an Olympian's journey. Welcome back, and thanks once again for joining us on the Vision High School Sports Beat. I'm Dave Yates. We're continuing our look back this week at some classic stories from the Vision High School Beat Vault. And it was in April of 2014 when we first profiled Morgan Schild of Pittsburgh Sutherland. Morgan was beginning her senior season as the center fielder for the Knights softball team. But it was what she accomplished on the slopes that would take her all the way to Pyeongchang.
She's not your typical three-sport athlete. Morgan Schild plays soccer in the fall and softball in the spring. It's what she does in between that really sets her apart.
The gates are open. Morgan Schild on course. Huge back X. Ripping away down that middle lane, Schild. Twister spread. Coming into the finish area.
I started skiing when I was 5 and at a Bristol Mountain, and I got swooped into the freestyle team when I was 10 at the Bump This. It was a local mogul competition, and I did it, and I fell in love with it ever since. And I met Johnny Kretz, my coach, and he's been a big part of my career ever since.
Did you fall in love with it because you were good, or are you good because you fell in love with it?
I'm good because I fell in love with it.
Morgan is the newest member of the United States Freestyle Ski Team, a 16-member group which includes 3 former Bristol Mountain team members. Schild finished second in the women's mogul event at the World Junior Ski Championships in Valmolenco. That's in Italy. She returned from Europe just last week.
We had practice Saturday morning. I'm reading about her in the paper. You know, she flies in Friday night from Italy, and sure enough, Saturday morning at 10 a.m., she's swinging on doorways to get into the weight room upstairs for practice. I'm like, hey, didn't you just get in last night? So
that really kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, she's motivated, she's willing to work for it, and she's committed to the goal, and that's important.
It's great to be doing different things all throughout the year, and I love the team aspect of it, and it's a lot different than being alone on the slope going down. So it's a good change in pace.
The gates are open. Morgan Schild on course.
Not surprisingly, Schild is an important part of the Knights softball team, which returns almost intact from a year ago and figures to contend for sectional honors. Morgan plays center field.
Yeah, I'll tell you, she's a great softball player. I mean, for us, she's going to be a 3-year starter for us this year in the outfield. She came up with us as a freshman, her freshman year. She's our leadoff hitter. She's one of those girls that gets on base, steals bases, scores runs, and she's just an emotional leader for us.
And she's the team's designated celebrity.
You didn't grow up here, but you moved here for Ski and Snowboard Club Vail. Tell us a little bit about that.
I grew up in Rochester, New York, and I moved.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. We were all so excited for Morgan. We didn't expect to have her back here, which is really great that she is. She's so key to the game here. She's fast. She can get down and bunt. She hits the ball so hard, and she fields everything in the field. So it's crazy how she does both.
What's it like having her on this team? Does it change the dynamic at all, do you think?
Oh my gosh, yeah. She's the fastest one on our team, so she's definitely one of our elite players. So she's definitely one of the players that we look up to on our team.
And like she's in embarrassingly good shape, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. We all want to look like her, so yeah, she's in really good shape.
But the clock is ticking on her softball career, because as good as Morgan is, it's on the slopes that she'll make her mark. Has there ever been any pressure on you to just focus on just focus on the skiing and maybe put the soccer and the softball aside?
Yeah, it's definitely been up in the air. Ideas been tossed around, and I don't know. I probably will have to make some tough decisions in the future, but for now, it'll be a combination.
Yeah, because you must resist that. Then you say, no, look, I really want to do these things for my high school, right?
Yeah, I love to play all the sports, and it's sort of in in my thought process of, I have to focus on skiing, I have to do this. But you sort of have to say, yes, you have to set up your priorities and say, this is what I want to do and this is who I want to become. And if I don't do these things, then I can't become who I want to be. And softball and soccer are a part of that. So I like to do them.
She's waiting for me just across the ball.
Into the finish here.
Well, we'd like to thank our sponsors, especially the 12 dealerships and the Vision Automotive Group, for making the Vision High School Sports Beat Show possible. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. I'm Dave Yates.